Jemima Montag, Wesley College, 2016. I am part of the Australian athletics team. I do the 20-kilometre race walk, and my greatest achievement has been placing sixth at the 2020 Olympic Games. My fondest school sporting memory was winning the APS Athletics Premiership. And it was when my sister and I were still both at Wesley before she moved across to the enemy school. And we ran the victory lap together. And it was very special moment. So Wesley and Caulfield Grammar had a big lots of competitiveness between us, and it was funny because my sisters both ended up at Caulfield while I was still at Wesley, so we had good family tension leading up to APS Athletics finals and cross country, but it was all happy days at the end. So Tim O'Shaughnessy came in as the head of cross country and athletics at Wesley right about when I was in grade 6, and he completely revolutionized the running culture at our school for the better. He created this perfect balance where people loved to join and be a runner because it was all about enjoyment and friendship. But at the same time, he was teaching us components of what it is to be an elite athlete. So I think that balance was just magical because we weren't overtraining. It was all about fun and friendship, but also about fierce competition. And some of the things he introduced, such as he brought Anthony Clarica, sort of a mindset coach psych, in to speak to us every year, sort of before the APS competition would come about. And that's how we started to learn about the importance of sports psychology and positive mindsets. We would go away for a 1-week training camp in the September holidays to Runaway Bay in Queensland and learn what it's like to go on training camps and train a few times a day, and recover well with good nutrition. And he showed us how you can cross train and get in the pool and do water running if you're injured. He'd come in at lunchtimes if any of the athletes were injured and meet us and take us through some water running sessions. It was just, he was so influential in a great way. I think what the running culture he's created at Wesley is amazing. And I think it's been 8 or 9 years now of back-to-back premierships for the Wesley girls in cross country and athletics. So that's amazing. And the wonderful thing was that when I was at the Olympics, the marathon and the race walk was actually done in Sapporo rather than Tokyo. And Tim was over there with us, helping out the marathon runners especially, but the walkers as well. So to have known him since year 6, to have had him as such an influence during my time at Wesley and with APS Sport, and then to have him when I debuted at the Olympic Games was great. I think I learned that even in an individual sport like athletics or cross country, you can still make it about teamwork and make it feel like a team. I loved feeling part of the athletics and cross country teams throughout my time with APS Sport. And I think even now, when an individual sport does start to feel lonely, you can still make your training squad feel like a team. You can get excited for other people's wins. You can make your support network feel like a team in terms of your psych and your dietitian and your masseuse and your physio and your coach, because there's nothing better than those huddles that we do before races and singing the team song. I think that's something I really try and carry across. The captains of our 2020 Tokyo Olympic team, Danny and Steve Solomon, were fantastic leaders. I think especially I've learned a lot from Steve over the years. He's a 400-meter runner for Australia. There's a particular moment that stands out, and it was just before the athletics team entered the World Track and Field Championships in 2019. We were in Doha in Qatar, and it was just before the night before the competition was going to start, and everyone was probably feeling quite nervous about their event. And what Steve did is that he got us in the team room to stand in a circle, and he stood in the middle and was walking around so that everyone felt equal and everyone was making eye contact with each other. And he got us to put up our hand if we had a goal for the competition. And so, of course, everyone put up one hand. And then he said, I want to challenge you all to elevate that goal. And that meant putting up the other hand as well. And what that represented was maybe your initial goal had been to get a personal best or to make a final. But can you now challenge yourself to elevate that from making a final to placing top 3, from placing top 3 to getting that gold, from getting a PB to breaking the Australian record? And as he was saying this, there was this incredible excitement in the room. And then we had both arms up. Then he said, okay, I want you to extend your arms and put them around the 2 people on either side of you. And then there was this amazing energy where we started off in this room, just a bunch of individuals. He got us in a circle. He got us thinking about elevating our goal. He got us arms around each other. Some of us didn't, we weren't friends yet because it is still an individual sport. But all of a sudden, we're in this room. There's so much energy. Everyone's arms are around each other. He continues speaking about how it can feel on your first senior team for those in the room who hadn't been on one before, and how there's this pressure to sort of fit in socially. And he just put all of that out the window. He said, I want us to give 3 cheers and then sing the Australian anthem together. And by the end of that, it wasn't even singing, it was like yelling the Australian anthem, arms around each other. And he had this capacity to completely change the mood and the energy going into those championships. And I think as a leader, I've learned a lot from him, mainly from that moment, and how it's important to lead from behind and be able to change the energy and the mood, and really leave a legacy on the people you lead. So shout out to Steve for being great. When I was in little athletics, I had so many superstitions. They're slowly fading away because I've actually been speaking to a sports psychologist about how sometimes if we're too hooked on superstitions, they're actually unhelpful, because if you don't have all of your lucky things on and you believe that you won't race well, then that's not a great thing, because in the end, it does come down to the training that you've done, and how prepared you actually are. But I certainly have lucky numbers. And it was amazing because at the Olympic Games, I was number 3, a bib number 3, which is the most lucky number of all for me. It was always what I wanted at little athletics. So number 3, number 7, number 1, they're all great numbers. And I have had lots of superstitions around those if I get them on my bib. I used to have, lucky socks, lucky undies, lucky pajamas the night before, lucky ribbon in my hair, so many things that I would take away with me or wear to APS Day as well. I've tried to simplify the lucky things down now. So now I feel lucky if I've created my own luck, if I've done a really good preparation. But the 2 things I like to still do is braid my hair, because I come from a ballet background, and for some reason braiding my hair makes me feel like it's a performance and I'm getting up on stage to do, something really great. And the second thing I wear is this bracelet, which my late grandmother gave me. She used to wear it around her neck as a necklace, and she actually cut it into 3. We had it cut into 3 for my sisters and I to wear around our wrists. So that gives me a lot of her strength that she once showed. And if I have the lucky bracelet and the hair in nice braids, I will go fast. Oh, my favorite teammate was my sister until she moved to Caulfield. So she takes the prize, but then I made a few really special friends. I can't really choose between these 3 girls, but Hilary McAdam, Lee Roo, and Nana Owusu Afrai were really special friends that I made. We went on all of those athletics camps together. And even though we were from different campuses or different year levels, doing APS athletics really brought us together. And 5 or 6 years on, we're still really great friends. So I'm grateful to have had those teammates and now friends. My advice would be to keep it really fun and enjoyable and make it about friendship and giving it your all, but don't put too much pressure on yourself until you finish school. And then it's all about creating the environment for success. So when I finished school, I still wasn't really sure whether I believed in myself enough to become an Olympian. I finished year 12 with pretty low self-esteem across the board, and I just didn't think I had what it took. Um, but a family trip to Japan changed everything in 2016, because my younger sister pointed out that the 2020 Olympics would be in Japan, that it was a pretty cool country, that I should do the family a service and make that team so that they'd have an excuse to return and watch me. Obviously, with the pandemic, they couldn't return, so sucks for her. But yeah, it was in that moment when she said, "Hey, how about you try and become an Olympian?" When I just finished year 12, that I really, the spark was lit, and I had to then create the environment for success. So I made the hard decision to move coaches from the guy who had really made my junior years fantastic to someone who had coached Olympians and Olympic gold medalists, in fact, at that next level. I made the transition. I decided to pull uni back to part-time from full-time, stop doing all of my part-time jobs and side hustles, simplified things down, and really focused in on living that senior elite athlete lifestyle and embracing it. And, it only took 12 months to then be a Commonwealth Games gold medalist. So to summarize, for the whole time while you're at school, it's fun, it's low pressure, it's about friendship, and absolutely competing hard and giving it your all, but really just making the most of those years of APS sport, because they were the best. And then, if you get to the end of year 12 and you're like, right, I'm going to make this junior to senior transition, then it's about building the environment, building the support network, and diving into it, because in the end, there's a 5 or 10 year window where you can really be an elite athlete and have a go at competing at this world stage before life moves on. And I'd say grab it with both hands if you've got that opportunity.